Can you hear me now? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Hopefully this works. When I put that mic on, it interferes, so I can only have one mic on at a time, but hopefully you can hear me now. Still people saying no sound. Okay, I think that's working now, so I'll get rid of my ugly mug because that's not working. Brilliant, so hopefully this works then. Right, so today we are building the LX384 wooden platform shelter. This is an absolutely gorgeous kit. It might be slightly biased because it's one of mine. It's one of my favourites as well. This is based off a prototype. In fact, it is a prototype from Robin Hood's Bay in the northeast of England. This design was found all over the country, particularly in the northeast, in the northeastern region, built by the Northeastern Railway, as you'd expect. It's quite a simple design, quite a simple little hut, as you can see, but it makes for a lovely little kit, and when you paint it up in Northeastern Railway blue and white, it looks really, really good. Like I say, quite a simple one, quite easy to do, so we'll jump into the build now. If anyone's got any questions about what I'm doing or what the kit is or any questions in general, do let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. So in good true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I built earlier. This was the prototype one, so it's not the best, it's not, you know, the most polished off, but it's a good image of what it looks like once it's all painted up. And I'll show you which colours I've used as well. These are actually prototypical colours. If you've been on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, you will have seen a lot of buildings painted like this, especially around Goathland, I think. Or was it Gromont? One of the two. Right, we'll make a start then. Can't remember how much this kit retails at, but it's not expensive at all. I think it's definitely less than £10. Let's get it open. And it's simple construction. You've got basically a core inner, which is that sheet. That's your main construction there. And you've got quite a few little detail parts that go over the top, overlays and whatnot. Yeah, it's a lovely kit. It's well worth the money, and it can really pull together any little station scene you've got. It's got quite a small footprint as well, so it'll work in a lot of situations. So looking in the chat, good morning everyone. Got morning Paul, morning David, morning Steve, morning Rachel, morning Tom, and Tom Batty asks, can you do it in Engage? We can, or we don't, but there's no reason why we can't, so that's probably one for the future, somewhere down the line. What I will say before we get going is if you comment on the YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube and you comment, I'll be able to read it and answer your question. But if you comment on Facebook, I won't. That's due to the privacy settings of Facebook. It won't let all the comments come through. So if you want to leave a comment and you're wondering why I'm not answering, it might be because you're on Facebook. If you come over to YouTube, I'll be able to answer your comment just fine. So we'll make a start with this kit. It should be quite a simple, there we go, push to release. Just make sure if you do it this way, be careful. Especially around here where you got thin parts. Wasn't too bad on that one because it's quite solid. But just wean those nodes out with a sharp craft knife. There's one at the top here as well, and the sides. So sorry I've been a bit absent from the Railway Modelers Club recently for taking the week off. And I've enjoyed my time so far, but I've come back to do this video. There we go, that's that part out, so that's the front and the back. And just get the sides, the knife's a bit loose. Shouldn't need to, no, there we go, that's easy enough. That one's not quite going, so we'll just give a bit of encouragement with a craft knife. Like that. Super. We've got one more piece on this sprue. I'll release that now, just so I don't have to come back to it later. So we got morning Mr. Scullywag from York. Pablo A from Cams. Do you mean Cambridgeshire? Presume. Yep. This piece is the part that supports the top there, supports the canopy. In case you're wondering, we are going to be doing this one properly today, so I've got my file out just to take off the burrs from the nodes. It doesn't take long to do this, and it makes the kit go together a lot nicer. So it's worth just spending the time just filing the edges down a bit. So everyone's had a good week. Like I say, I've been busy this week, taking some time off from the club. But I hope everyone else has been having a good week. I've been doing a bit of modelling as well. Quickly show you. Weathering, as you might have seen, this Mark 1 VG. I just think it's a VG, Parcel Mark 1. It's looking alright, I think. I'm not done, but I've done one side, so that's how it came out of the box. All nice and pristine. And that's now I've had my mitts on it. Hopefully you can see, I'm quite happy with it. Used the wax on, wax off method. And if I'm happy with the end result, I will do an article about it in the club. So watch out for that one soon. Taking the sharp edges off, like I say. There we go, that's all done. That's that one. These seem a bit better because these came out easier. So yeah, like I say, this example is very common over the northeastern region of British Rail, which is basically York North, York to Scotland. It's a lovely little building. This prototype exactly was found at Robin Hood's Bay in Yorkshire. It doesn't exist anymore, which is a big shame. But it exists in model form. I tried to get this as close to the real thing as possible. It's not a million miles off. There's only one difference that I can see, and that's on the real thing. There was a 45-degree support there between the canopy and the main body, but I couldn't figure out how to have a way to get that in the kit while keeping the kit fairly easy and straightforward to build. So that's the only difference. The only differences I know of. I had quite a lot of good reference photos to work from as well. So in theory, it should be quite an accurate model. That's what I like anyway. So we're just releasing the windows now from the ends. You can laminate these windows. There's 4 windows on the building, but you get 8 in the kit, and that's for if you wanted to cut some of the cellophane, some of this stuff, and sandwich it in between the window panes. You can. I don't particularly bother. I don't think it's necessary. I prefer other methods of getting windows in. But if you wanted to do it that way, you can, and it's provided. So I hope everyone's having some nice weather today. It was a bit miserable here yesterday, but we seem to be okay today. Now after I've done this, I'm going to go wash the car, I think. It's quite sunny. It's not the worst of days today, but it was yesterday. It was peeing it down. Okay, so I've just taken a little bit too much of this, just coming a bit loose there. There we go. There's the cardboard, the wood. I don't know if you can see. It's just pulling the window out. It's just taking a bit with it. But if you just file it down, no one will know. To quote Bob Ross, that'll be our little secret. I think I've already done that one. Super. Let's get going. So we've got front, back, and 2 sides. Someone's saying, is anyone else's picture out of focus? It's not on my machine. And there's no way I can change that, unfortunately. there's not much I can do. It's quite limited. Once I set the camera up, it's there. I can't do much about it. So as always, the glue we're using is Deluxe Materials Laser Cut Kit Glue. This stuff is perfect. It's excellent. It's all I've ever wanted for. It's well worth it. It's expensive. It's about $6.50, $6.70 a bottle for this bottle. It looks quite small, but this is my first bottle. I've never run out. If you get the fine tips on it as well, it's perfect. To keep the tips clean and declogged, you can get a small jam jar with a piece of wet tissue in it, and when you're not using it, just keep it upside down. Obviously, when you finish building, you take the nozzle off and put the lid on, but when you're building, just keep it upside down in there and you'll be grand. Once you have finished building as well, get a syringe, fill it with water, take the top off, put the top on the syringe, pump it through, do that a couple of times, and then you'll be perfect. The syringe will be nice and declogged. Like this is one of my first tips as well. So it's well worth doing, and it's well worth the investment for the glue because it's perfect. Okay, so we're just going to glue these parts together now, double checking how they go. I'm going to glue this piece, the front piece, glue on the edge. Hopefully you can see that. Back in the jam jar. Make sure we've got the pieces the right way around, always helps. And then slot it in. And just hold that for a second. Since it's got a fully enclosed tab, which is what's just above my finger there, look. It's a fully enclosed slot and tab construction. It means it holds itself together really nicely, and you only need to hold it for a couple of seconds and it will hold at a 90-degree angle naturally as well, which is perfect. So excuse me, I've just got some technical difficulties. Steve just pointed out that it's a jam jar with a lemon curd label. Yes, I suppose it is. Either jam jar or lemon curd jar, either's fine, whichever's your preferred option. Just double checking these two parts. This part is actually the same that way and that way, so it doesn't really matter which way around it goes. Just make sure that you glue the right piece onto the right end, because obviously if we did it the other way around it won't work. Just make sure that's the right way. There we go. Bit more glue. Move that closer. No point in reaching out across half the table to get that. Now this side hasn't got a fully enclosed slot and tab. This has got open slot and tab. So it's just a case of holding it for a little bit longer, a little bit more glue, just to make sure that it stays properly. When we glue the two halves together, that will straighten itself out fine. It's just need to make sure this is fully sealed in before we can move on. Not like that, and that wasn't fully sealed in. This glue has got a slightly longer working time than things like Superfatic. It takes a little bit longer to go off sometimes, so you just need to be doubly careful. In fact, I might just try and... There we go. I'll hold it with the use of gravity. Okay, so now we'll look at the other sprues that we've got. So this is the sprue which is sort of the overlapping detail on this. So if you can see on here, we basically got some embossed detail, and that's all of this. So once this is dried, and also we can pick it up and move it like that, we'll glue it on. Since this piece is better glued, we'll start with this one. But hopefully once we glue this piece together, it'll force it to pull in. which will give us a stronger construction. But you don't need me to tell you that. Making sure I get plenty of glue on there. So I can be a bit quiet, it's just a bit of concentration while I get these parts all lined up. Oops. And I'm not going to worry necessarily at the back's just fallen off, because hopefully with the two sides on, when I put it back in, it will all just hold together naturally, sort of fall into place a bit. And if you want, you can run a bead of glue down the inside of each corner just to give it a little more rigidity. And I'm going to put this piece in as well, just to give it a bit more strength. Just going to double check with the instructions. I know I designed this kit was a long time ago, I can't remember. Excuse me. Just double checking which way that piece goes in. That goes in that way. So the slot's facing the top. Just a bit of glue there, bit of glue there. I'll slide the two pieces in, sorted. Okay, so that's that bit there. All gluing together nicely. The instructions may tell you to build this in a different way, but it's, you know, it's not that big of an issue. Chris is saying you glued the wrong face on the left-hand side. I think I have. There's, don't know what you mean there. You haven't done anything of that, what do you call it, degree yet. That's looking fine to me. Yeah, no, it's looking fine. Right, carry on. We're going to start with the cladding now, which is these parts. These just overlap on and just give the building a bit more embossed detail, like I said previously. There we go. At the back. What's he meaning at the? What do you mean at the back? No, I don't understand. I don't see. Could be wrong. It's behind you. I think you're pulling my leg. I don't quite understand. Comparing it to the previous one, it looks the same. Now you're right. There's a pantomime. Pass. Don't know. Carry on. Yep. Pulling my leg there, I think. I don't understand. Anyway, crack on. Just releasing the windows. We're not gluing the windows yet, but we just need to get them out of the way. One more. There we go. Put them aside for later. We need the two sides. This part and this part. Where's that being a funny bugger? Good. There we go. Didn't want to go that one. One more. I'll release these detailing parts from the inside, because again, don't need them. Sorted. Perfect. Right. So on these parts, just make sure I've got them the right way around. Yep. So that's this side. As you can see, we just simply go over the top like that. and they sort of hide the joins as well, because you can see the joins in the construction there when you put that on. All gone. You can't see it. Perfect. So we'll just run a line of glue over the whole shebang. So I'm concentrating. And then carefully line it up. And since this glue has a small working time, we have got time just to doubly check that you're happy with the position of it, which I most certainly am. Grand. Right, move on to the next side. Same again. This glue's getting a bit clogged. I did say that when you use the syringe to pump it through, it does clean it out, but when it's a bit old, it still shows its age a bit. So you still need to replace them every now and again. There we go. And slide that over the top. Make sure you're happy with the positioning. Hopefully you can see that. And sorted. Nice bit of planking detail. We've got one for the back and some for the front. The front's a bit more awkward because it's obviously we've got the doors in the way, or the entrances. So we just need a tiny bit of glue on this one. Each side. And all the way down. So what we're doing with the Row Modelers Club at the moment is, obviously I'm away this week, but when I get back next week, we'll be starting a layout archive, which is a project idea Justin's had, where every week or every 2 weeks or however long we plan to do it, how often we plan to do it, we will set a challenge with some parameters of designing a layout. Then we'll ask for your entries, and then we'll compile them into a folder on the club for everyone to use down the line. And the idea is that we want to create a lot of designs so people, when they say, oh, I'm wanting to build a layout that's 16 foot by 1 foot, or something obscure and strange like that, we can say we've got the folder here of user submitted designs that you might find interesting and inspiring. Obviously, then every couple of weeks we'll change the theme. So we might start off with like a 3 by 1 foot, and then next week we might do a 10 by 4 foot or something like that, and just keep it varied and keep it interesting. That's the idea anyway. So now I'm just going to do the door surrounds. I'm basically going to start in the middle and work my way out. The door surround on this are the second most fiddly part of the whole kit, just because they're so thin. It's quite easy to make them bend when you don't want them to. So you need to take extra care to make sure they're all straight. So if anyone's got any suggestions for the layout archive idea we're having, please do get in touch. Either write me a comment or send me a message on the Railway Modelers Club. Love to hear your feedback. There we go. Wrapped on my finger. So this piece, quite simple really. It just goes over the top of the 2 doors. Simple as that, just making sure that it's straight and level. So a bead of glue down the middle. And a tiny bit down by each door. And a bit on the surround. Don't need much. And plonk your surround on. And again, so concentrating. But that should, oops, see what I mean? It's very easy to get it to go somewhere you don't want it to. Take your time. Like I said, with this glue you have got a second or two just to play around with it. So it's a little bit high for me on the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is going to, with my thumb, hopefully you can see I'm just prying it apart a bit so I can add a bit more fresh glue to where I want it to stay. And then I'm going to push the whole thing into place, and hopefully that little bit of extra glue in the corner might just force the whole lot to stay where I want it to stay. The operative word in that sentence being should. There we go. Tiny bit wonky. Tiny bit wonky, but perfect. Just have a drink. Cheers. Right, next. So now we've done the middle, like I say, we're working out. We're going to do these surrounds that go around the outside. This one. Morning, Ian. In Bridgewater. Hope you're doing well. And who else have we got? Got Martin from Essex. Hope you're doing all right as well. Hope everyone's doing all right. It's quite a nice day here today. Quite lucky. It was awful yesterday. Weather can't seem to make his mind up. Right, so I'm just going to refer back to the prototype. There we go. So I know which way around it goes. You'll see on this, it's like a U shape with a little node on it at the end. That node faces inwards and goes to the bottom of the door surround like that. So hopefully you can see that. It's going to be quite hard for me to show you when I get going, but that's how it should go. So I'll glue this one on, and then I will hold it up to the camera because it's going to be quite hard for me to show you what I'm doing while I'm actually doing it. Need to make sure there is a front and back for these pieces because they've got detailed bits in the corner. There we go, just press that in, make sure it's lined up. You can sort of line it up with the, again I'll show you in a second once it's set a bit. And I'm happy with the position. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. The vertical in the middle lines up with the slot there. So it's quite easy to make sure it lines up, and don't forget you need a little node facing out towards the bottom of the door there. In hindsight, all of this and the opposite could have been one part. We could have done this in one overlay like the back. But I'm not sure why we did it like that, to be fair, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting and probably easier, because if you've got the whole lot to do with this being quite thin, it's quite easy for it to come out of line. So probably actually best that we're doing it as 3 parts rather than 1. So I'll just quickly do this. Like I say, it's probably a bit hard for me to show you on camera, so I'll just make it quick. As for more content for the club, what we've got lined up soon is some interviews with some famous modelers. I'll not give anything away just yet, but we have some lined up, and I've got the first lot of questions or answers back from the first guest, and they're quite good. It's quite a, not a funny interview, it's just a bit different from your normal ones. So hopefully you enjoy that. I have some, I'll just show you, white metal kits on the way that I've been building. These will make great articles I'm looking forward to getting them done. Only issue with ordering white metal kits, it means you got to order from Andrew, and he hasn't got the best postal service. So I ordered them a couple of weeks ago and I still not got them. And in case anyone's new, hasn't joined and missed the beginning, I've also been doing some weathering, which I will be writing articles for in the club. This is a blue and custard coach, which I'm quite proud of. I went for an oily rag, wax on, wax off look. I didn't do the other side, so we can compare. That's how it came out of the box. And that's now I've had my grubby mitts on it. So we've got plenty lined up for the club. Plenty of new exciting content coming your way, so be on the lookout for all of that. Right, so now we've got all the surrounds on, the embossed detail. Let's have a look at what else we got to do. So we'll put this part aside for now. Don't want the eye bits yet. We'll make a start on the roof, I think. So we're going to release these parts here on the sprue. Like I said earlier, the instructions may tell you to do it a slightly different way, but it doesn't really matter because there's nothing which is hard to do once you've done something else. Everything's obviously, apart from the roof, it doesn't really matter which order you do it in. So I've got a bit of a sore throat this week, so I might sound a bit hoarse and raspy. So I might need some tweezers for this. Just make sure which way they go around. Do one dry run first. Always good advice, do a dry run before you actually glue it so you know what you're doing. And there you go, they just slot in to the holes like that. And they just press down. To be fair, I don't think we even need to glue these. What I might do is I might press them all into place and just add a little bit of glue just to hold them in because they are booking up a bit. So if you bear with us 1 second, it's going to be quite fiddly to do on camera. Just press them in, press them down, and then once you're happy, get a little bit of glue from the back and a little bit of glue from the front. Oops. Yep, so I'm just saying no need to glue as the roof holds it in place. I'm just adding a little bit to tack it in so we don't fall out while I'm moving it around, so I've not done the other bits yet. And they're a tiny bit loose, but no, there's no real need to hold these in. It's fine without the glue. But then again, you don't need to add lots of glue before you add them in and get your fingers all gluey. It's fine to do it like this. If they go in, they're a bit tight, some of them. There we go. Nice firm click. Tiny bit of glue at the back. A bit in the front. Give it a nice press. Only got 2 more to do. Sorted. Some of them are a bit loose, so 1 or 2 may need a little extra persuasion, a bit more glue. That one went straight through. Hopefully get this one in. There we go. You'll hear it just click when it gets sent home properly. Don't worry about if the front looks messy, because we've got a cladding piece to go over the front as well. Brilliant. So now that's sorted, I think we'll do the windows. Let me just double check. We've got... Do we have the window sills? Sorry, 1 second, I'm just going... Like I say, I did design this kit, but it's been a while. Right, yes. We have window sills, which are these. These H or I shaped pieces. I'll get one out and I'll show you how it goes together, in case you don't know. So you get the main body, you just sort of feed it in, try and get it so it looks straight. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing, but it's so small and fiddly. So you can see there, it's in, but it needs to be at the bottom. So I just get a pair of pliers, well, tweezers even pressure from each side, and just press it down. And now it's at the bottom, look. Hopefully you can see that. Can I show you that? There you go. All the way at the bottom. Now normally, if I can just try and, there we go. Right back up again. You'll add a bit of glue to hold it down. So you enter in from like a 45-degree angle to get both parts either side, like that. When it's in the middle, add a bit of glue to the base, if your glue wants to cooperate today. There we go. Like I say, this glue's good, but it can just sometimes, when the model gets a bit old, be a bit funny. Start playing around with you. There we go, tiny bit more glue, and just press the windowsill home with a pair of tweezers either side, even pressure. Hopefully you can see that. Just takes a little bit more detail, and then we'll do one for all of the others. One, two, three. That's the last one. Right. So also, you might find there's a nicer edge and a not so nice edge from where you cut it. If you're not bothered about filing it down, make sure the nicer edge is facing outwards. That's the one you'll see most. So just put it in a 45-degree angle. Bit of glue at the bottom. Pliers. Push down like that. Give it a good push as well to make sure it's all the way in, because if it's not quite all the way down, you'll struggle to put the windows in, because there's not much clearance, unfortunately. So the next two, I'll do these two at the same time, just to speed things up a bit. There we go, that's one in. And to get the second in. There we go. Bit of glue on the bottom. And press them down. Sorted. Excuse me 1 second, I'm just going to mute the chat while I blow my nose. I'm sure you don't want to hear that. Just going to mute you for 1 second. Sorry about that, really need to blow my nose, I'm sure you didn't want to hear that. But now we've got all the window sills in, they're all looking good. Cheers. Just got a little bit of extra detail in now, makes it all a bit nicer. Now, like I say, you do get 8 windows in the pack, in the kit, and we only need 4, and that's so you can laminate them, should you wish, which is, we laminate it with some of the cellophane stuff, just to give it a bit of extra detail. I don't really bother with that, I prefer using other methods, so just the one window will do for us. Now it's going to be quite fiddly because these windows are very fine. I believe they're 0.5 of a mil thick, which is really fine. So in a way, it's a good job we got 8, because we don't want, if we could have got some to mess up. Sorry, snotty nose today, got a bit of a cold. So these you put in like that. They're actually quite easy to go in, some of them. I think extra tolerance has been catered for the windowsills in case they're not quite right. So hopefully you can see that. They do just slot in. That's with no glue. So if we get our bit of glue, in fact, since it's so easy to put in, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it out. Just going to glue around bottom of the windowsill, up the sides, more on the top, and down the sides. Perfect. Pair of tweezers, and just drop it in, and then use your fingers from the back and the front just to make sure it looks about level. There you go, there's one. Sam's saying he paints the window frames before he puts them in. Yep, that is a option. I'm not going to do that because we're pushed for time today. If I was painting this on live, we'll be done by about 5 o'clock tonight. So I'm not going to do that. But when I paint this building in northeastern or BR northeastern colours, as you can see, the windows are actually the same colour as the whole area around it. So it's not that big of an issue to me because I paint them at the same time. Just need to be careful though, because since they are 0.5mm thick, they are prone to breaking, especially when you paint them, because they absorb too much paint, become waterlogged, and then you've ruined your windows then. So you just need to be careful not to use too much paint when you're doing the windows. But yeah, if you're painting them in a different colour to the rest of the building, yeah, definitely paint these before. Definitely. But like I say, it's just a case of live stream, pushed for time. There's a really good website called Station Colours, I think. Something like that. And it shows you all the good painting diagrams for different buildings from different regions, from different periods. It's really interesting. That's how I found the colours for this. And lots of other eras as well. So depending on which area you're doing, you can find out which colour is best for your station. It's going to mute you again because I'm really need to blow my nose. Not feeling well this morning. Sorry about that, I've got quite a bad cold. Not feeling too sharp this morning, but we'll carry on. So yeah, like I say, Station Colours, the website's called. I can't remember its exact name. But it gives you loads of great painting diagrams for buildings of all Big Four regions, so Great Western, Southern, LMS and LNER. But then it breaks down into areas of those regions. So for like LNER, the amount of subcategories were huge. You had Northeastern, Great Eastern, Great Central, London region. You had loads. Scottish region. The list goes on and on and on. And each region, over time, had its own colours. So for like Northeastern region, they started off in Northeastern Railway, which is those colours, which are the best in my opinion. So that was, pre-grouping, pre-LNER, that's the colours they had. And then when the LNER came along, they had cream and green, almost. Which, tourist stock sort of colours, don't know if you know what they are. Imagine Gordon's coaches from Thomas Tank Engine, that's green and cream almost. And they looked alright, I think, but I prefer the blue and white. And then they went through phases of browns, phases of reds, and then when the when the British Rail took over, they had a period in the 50s of being sort of like a maroony colour, maroon and cream, I think it was. And then they went back to the original Northeastern in the late 50s, early 60s. So this colour scheme is correct for my layout era of late 50s, early 60s for the North Eastern Railway, which I think is perfect. It's my favourite colour scheme as well. But every railway had all those variations for the whole time period, and this website documents all of them, so it's perfect for wanting to know, what colour do I paint my 1940s Great Central region layout. Go onto this website and Perfect. Right, let's have a look at the chat. See if we've got any questions. Again, just got Sam saying paints the window frames first. Yeah, I agree. It's sometimes easier to do it that way. And Andrew saying, never been to the Peak District in Yorkshire Dales. You're really missing out there, Andrew. It's a beautiful part of the country. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got the windows all finished now. Hopefully you can see that. I'll just try and give you some close-ups before I put the roof on. Don't know if that's focusing in, but hopefully you can see that we're getting there. And it's starting to look pretty good. So now we do what I call dog bone pieces, which are these. I suppose these are optional, you don't have to put these in. If I just show you on the prototype, they go at the top, or at the bottom and the top of each window. Just adds a little bit of extra detail. So I'll just quickly release all of these and we'll glue them on. You also get in this kit 2 notice boards, which are again optional. Or you can fashion your own if you want smaller sizes. Unfortunately, we don't come with any posters or anything for said notice boards, but they can be purchased elsewhere through Sankey Signs, is it? Other companies like that, they do plenty for you. Oops, that very, very, very nearly went to the carpet monster, as a lot of my things do. I think that one actually didn't see where that one went. Pinged off to nowhere. And other things we've got lined up for the club. Sometime in November, I'm travelling down to go and see Tony Wright, and he is giving me a masterclass on kit building, on metal kit building. Being a LNER, British Railways modeller, we can't really get by without doing any kit building, so Tony's very kindly offered to show me the ropes and to show me how to do things, which I am very much looking forward to. So that will be articles coming up on that. So just get one of the T-bone pieces. They sort of look like dog bones, these. In fact, they probably could be O-gauge dog bones. Need to sort the glue out. Really need to get a new tip for this. Just clog it up quite a lot, quite frequently. Plenty of glue. And just slide it in between, just under the window. And push it up, so it's in line with the outer 2 window frames. There we go. But you can see that. We've got quite a few of these to do, because one needs to go at the top, one needs to go at the bottom. Oops. These can take a while. I'll try and think of something to say, but it's quite hard to think of conversation when you're talking to yourself and trying to build a kit at the same time. So excuse me if I'm not overly talkative, especially with trying to get the kit bang on first time as well. Right, we're getting there. That's the first one done. Hopefully you can see what it looks like. If anyone's got any questions about what I'm doing in general or in this live build, please do ask. I'm here to answer any and all questions. But come on, these parts can be a bit awkward sometimes, especially if you struggle to get them lined up first time, but there we go, that's that one's in. nearly halfway there. Sorted. These small little details, I always say, when building a kit, 90% of your time should be taken finishing the last 10% of the kit. That's a rule I always sort of play to. You know, you get so far with the kit and it looks finished, but then you spend most of the time then just finishing it off. That's one way to make sure it looks right and perfect, and not to rush the end. Dakdak saying, "Are you going to record your brass band for a sound clip under the bandstand?" I could do. That could be an idea. I might put that to Justin. See what he says. We have already got some recordings done. We play in a lot of competitions. And as a result, we have lots of recordings from them competitions. So I could dig something out. I know Alan over at Model U actually does a brass band set. And if I ever get the chance to go down and get myself scanned, I think I'll take my trombone so we can get that done as well, which would be quite nice, I think, to add that to the bandstand. In fact, I had a concert at a bandstand this weekend over in Goole, near Hull. Tom asks, which brass band am I in? I play in Armthorpe and Elmfield from Doncaster, and I also play in Emley. I play trombone in Armthorpe and tuba or bass in Emley. Oops, this piece is just going a bit awry. Malk ABC says, what am I doing? Very good question. Not 100% certain myself, to be honest. No, I'm adding in just some detailing parts that go around the windows. I'm attempting to, but it seems to have cemented itself to my finger. There we go. That's what I'm doing. I'm adding these parts in, so you can see. They just go at the top and at the bottom of each window, just an extra little bit of detail. Tom says, looking at this, N-scale version would be very fiddly, but a modified version would be very much appreciated. Yeah, it should be doable. The thinnest material on this is 0.8mm, and the thinnest material that we have as a company is 0.4. So it'll be out of 0.4mm rather than 0.8 instead. So it is doable. Likewise, it is doable to do an O-gauge version. So we can have a look at doing that. I'll put it to Justin, so we can add it to the ever-growing list of jobs. But these parts, you know, to be fair, they're so tiny. When it's all painted, you struggle to see them anyway. And that's in 4mm, so in N-gauge, in 2mm, I reckon you could happily omit these parts. No one would be any wiser. Okay, so they're all done now. Hopefully you can see. Not the straightest, but under time pressure here to get it done quickly. But it's starting to look okay. We haven't got that much left to do. Let's have a look. We have that part, and we have the bench. This kit does come with a bench on the inside. Hopefully you can see. There's a lot of legs on this bench, but that's what the prototype had, so I did it. But you don't really need all of them. But I thought, if I don't do it how the prototype is, someone will say it's not like that in the real thing. So I thought I'd better do it over-engineered and under-engineered. So I might not do the bench on camera because it'll take ages to fit all of these. In fact, how many have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16 legs for this bench. So I don't think I'll do that. Well, I might. Yeah, you know what? We've got a bit of time. I'll do all 16 legs for your enjoyment. Dak's saying one of our kids has just brought home a P-bone from school, a plastic trombone. The P-bones are all right. They're they're good for getting kids up to like grade 2, grade 3. Good thing about them is they're very durable. They're impossible to kill, so they're great for giving to little kids to get them interested. Great for school kids, great for people starting out because they only cost about 100 quid as well. Steve's saying he plays trumpet in Stratford concert band. I used to play in a few concert bands and they were pretty enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the music. I used to play tuba in a few. And for whatever reason, I'm struggling to get this out. It must be held in my note that I'm struggling to see somewhere. There we go. That was the one. Alec is saying, how much is this kit and can it be covered with brick paper as opposed to painted? This kit retails for, in fact, if you hold the line 1 second, I will tell you how much it costs. £10.99, I think. Let's have a look. Yes, £10.99. This thing can be covered in brick if you wanted, but it already has. You'll lose all the detail on it. So that's up to you if you wanted to undertake that. We don't do a brick wrap for this kit, so you'd have to cut it yourself. What I will say is we have not a version of this kit, but one with a similar footprint. I actually think it's Lewisham prototype was from. We have a model of Lewisham station shelter coming out, which is that's just pinged off somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we have a model of Lewisham station shelter coming out very soon. That version is going to have laser engraved brick as well as a wrapped version, so you might be better holding off for that one. Again, I don't know when that will be. It's been designed for a while now, but hopefully it should be out soonish. I'll see if I can get Justin onto it. Like I said, we have a laser engraved brick version, which will be more expensive because more cutting involved for the manufacturing process. But we have a wrapped version as well, which might be of interest. So rather than wrapping this in brick, you might be better holding off a bit and doing a similar one in brick wrap. Slightly different design, but same era, same region. As I say, it's from Lewisham, so down the line from Robin Hood, really. So nearly there, cutting out all these bench stands. I do apologise for how many there are. Like I say, I did it as a prototype, and there were hundreds. Well, slight exaggeration, there's 16. Reading the chat. Some conversation about plastic. I've missed that one. We don't really do much in plastic. We do 3D printed stuff, and they're mainly detailing parts. Most of what we do is card or wood, like this. This last one's playing funny buggers. Don't want to come out. There we go. I've got a really parched throat, so if you bear with me 1 second, have another drink. And I need to cough. 1 second, just going to mute the chat. Sorry, like I said, I'm not feeling very well today. Bit of a cough. Right, so the station bench that goes in the platform. You'll see there's a top, which is that. Hopefully you can see you've got some line detail, plank detail going down the middle, as opposed to the back, which hasn't. So that needs to go facing upwards. And what I'm going to do, speed this up, I'm just going to add a bit of glue to the middle of each leg, or wherever leg goes, like that. Then get the tweezers out. This might be a bit tedious on camera, but it really completes it, so I kind of want to do it so I can show you what it looks like all together. So you might have to bear with 1 second. I'll try and answer some questions. That's saying Lewisham is about 4 miles away. Yep, it's not far away at all from Robin Hood's Bay. I'm a little bit biased with what I enjoy modern railway wise. So most of the kits I design are from northeastern influence, and Lewisham has a lovely little station shelter, which is why I chose that one to do. This last leg's not quite going in. It'll do, you get the idea. But yes, a lovely little place, lovely little shelter. Similar footprint to that, so quite small and dainty. And it's just a brick shelter, so it's, even though it's not a northeastern design, it will go anywhere. It will suffice any layout of any region, because it's at the end of the day just a brick shelter. You know, there's nothing region specific about it apart from the prototype. There we go. These are just a bit fiddly, bit tedious, but keep going. If you've got any questions, this would be a perfect time for me to answer some questions while I frustrate myself with this. So chuck them in the chat and I'll have a read. There's a couple of conversations going on about Lewisham Station itself. I missed them. I've been through Lewisham, I've never actually got off there. Because when I go on the North York Moors Railway, I always go end to end rather than to middle stations. This is... Might have to abandon this because I think this is probably a bit too fiddly and tedious for the sake of a live stream, because I don't think you can really see much. So apologies about this. I might just do half and might show you what it looks like on the end result. So I'm just, you know what I'm doing. It's just simple. You got like a Y-shaped piece, and the two prongs just slot into the top of the bench. Sorry, the bottom of the bench. But eventually, you'll build it up to look like that, and you'll paint it a nice brown colour and glue it inside. I'm not going to waste any more time with that because I can't show you what I'm doing. You know what I'm doing, and it'll take me ages to do all 16. So we'll wish that didn't happen. I'll show you the other one instead, and we'll move on to this, which is the valance for the top. This is of quite thin material. I think this is actually 0.4. So this might look a bit oversized in N gauge because we haven't got anything smaller than this. So if this kit was done in N gauge, unfortunately this part might look a bit overdone because it'll be the same thickness. So Malbec saying thought Lewisham was in South East London. I think there is a Lewisham in London. There's also one in Yorkshire. It's on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Just a little station of Holts. Like I say, never actually been. So I've been through a lot of times. So just adding a nice bit of glue to the top part. Take the valance and overlay to the top, making sure the top is flush and not the bottom. And making sure it's in line with the top detail part. Sorry, I keep having a look at it and then realising you can't see when I'm holding it to my face. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. Now I need these two parts here. I've been trying to do the main station building for Robin Hood's Bay, which still does exist actually. It's a nice house looking sort of building, if that makes sense. It's a station building that looks sort of like a house. sort of medium-sized brick build, but it's quite a bit of a complex kit. It's a bit awkward, if that makes sense. It's just a bit funny to put together. So it's taken a while, but at least the building does exist. You know, I actually can have a look at it in real life. So, oh, that's a hard name to pronounce. XYNGX Rapid DZZ has asked, are we going to Milton Keynes? We should be, but unfortunately we can't. The reason being we have staff issues. I'm the only person who can do it. And I've only just passed my driving test. I'm not yet 21, so I can't hire a van. So if we did go, I'll just be taking what I can fit in my Ford Fiesta, which isn't much, even though it is a 5-door. So it was just a bit awkward for me to go by myself. Ian couldn't make it because he has asthma and he hasn't been vaccinated yet. I believe it's Tina's birthday that weekend, so Justin and Tina can't go. Obviously Sam's left. Kate won't be able to make it because she's in Cornwall. So it was just me who could do it. So it was a bit not really doable. It was a bit of a farce. It's a long way for me to drive as well, down to Milton Keynes. So it just wasn't really doable. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have gone to meet you all again in person rather than doing these live streams. But no, unfortunately, it just wasn't doable. Next year, hopefully. And we were hoping to do Whalley, but Whalley's been cancelled for obvious reasons. Right, so now the two side posts are on, side balances, which just slot in very nicely in that nice little gap. We have just a top piece to go over the top of the front balance. That's just a simple process of running a bead of glue down the top, as you can see, like so, and then folding it over, making sure it's flush either end. There you go. The kit's very, very nearly finished now. We haven't got much left to do, just got the roof really. Let me just confer with the instructions. Right, I won't be able to do this because I haven't got a Pritt stick to hand, but I wish I did, never mind. But the roof actually has a texture sheet, as you can see. That's all you do is cut that out, glue that on top of that piece, and glue it on top of the roof. A lot of people are asking about Sam. Can't really go into much more detail than what I've said, unfortunately. I'm not sure what Sam wants to be public knowledge, but yeah, Sam basically left the company. No longer employed by us, so that's why he couldn't go. I can't really go disclose more than that. You'll have to ask him yourself if you want more. But the kit's very nearly done. Like I say, I just need to release this. And normally you would glue the roof texture on top. But since I don't have a Pritt stick to hand, I can't do that. I've just made a little bit of a mess cutting this out. So I'm just going to take a file so it's just to smarten it up a bit. There we go. And then you decide where you want it on the roof. Whether you want it flush at the back, flush at the front, or slap bang in the middle. Let's have a quick look. So yeah, it will go fairly middle-ish. Since there's a balance at the front, I'm going to choose to glue the roof flush at the front and have a little overhang at the back. I think that's going to look best. And then obviously in the middle, you've got a couple of mil either side where it goes. Yeah, if anyone wants to look at Sam's YouTube channel, it's Peaks47. He's a superb modeler. Highly recommend you go and check him out. The stuff he does is pretty good. So we're just going to glue around the top of this, and then we're done. Make sure you've got plenty of glue on this because it's prone to sort of folding up on itself since it's quite a thin piece of laser board. Like I say, I think it's 0.4mm thick, so it's not very thick at all. Bit at the front, bit at the back, the sides, all you need. Like I say, normally you'd got a texture sheet which you'd glue on top of this part to make it look a bit better, which I'll show you on the prototype once I've got this in place. Make sure it's nice and flush. Like I say, I'm going flush at the top, overhang at the back. Since it's already balanced at the front, I think that looks best. You don't need two overhangs at the front. Just make sure it's... and then maybe press it down a bit just to make sure that sets properly. Any more questions in the chat? Doesn't look like it. We're about to wrap up here, so if you've got any last minute questions, fire them ahead. I'll do my best to answer. So yeah, there we go. That is pretty much it. Apart from the you got two simple notice boards, which are again optional. I think if I was building this again for a proper layout, I would only use one. I think to make it look a bit crowded. And then say this one's painted in northeastern blue and cream. But that's it. That's how you build the LX384 wooden platform shelter. Retails at $10.99 and it's available now from Scale Model Scenery. Perfect little kit, suitable for any platform shelter, modern or heritage era. Yeah, it's just a little super little thing really. Dainty, lots of detail, fits anywhere. Perfect for anyone. Dak saying, what did I buy Tina for her birthday? Nothing yet. I sort of forgot it was next weekend. I'll see if I can send her a card or something. So, brilliant. Thanks everyone for watching today. Much appreciated as always. And like I say, I'm off for the rest of the week, but I'm still around, so if you want to send me a message on the club, you can. I'll do my best to answer. But I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and I will see everyone next week. Have a good week, everyone. I'll see you later.